What's going on, guys? It's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to another vlog on this channel. Last time we were at Boston Billiard, we got absolutely smoked, absolutely torched, and hopefully today we can try to make some of that back. Probably gonna play some either 1-3 or 2-5. I was planning on playing 1-3, but if they have a 2-5 game running, I guess we're gonna hop into that and hopefully not punt off some money. It's a gorgeous Sunday, beautiful day to be sitting inside playing some poker because we're living that DGen life. Anyways, we're gonna hop in there, hopefully make some more of our money back. Smash that like button, it really helps the channel grow on this video. Really appreciate all the support so far. And leave a comment down below for a chance to win a blue chip. I give away one of those every video. So there's that, let's get into the action, let's do it. So we buy into the 1-3 game for the maximum of $500, and one of the first hands that we're going to go over today, we look down at pocket kings and we're on the button straddle. No better time to button straddle than picking up kings here, so the action goes 2 limps to a player in the cutoff who raises up the action to $20. Perfect time to 3-bet in position, looking like we're squeezing with the button straddle, so I size up to $60, standard 3x. The limpers fold and actions back to the cutoff. This player thinks about it for a little bit and ends up putting in the good old 4-bet to $240. He watches the channel, so I'm thinking maybe he just really likes the vlogs and really is trying to donate to us. So not a whole lot of a decision to make here, obviously, with 500 deep. We're going to put in the 5-bet jam to $500, and he makes the call. What are we up against? Aces. Not great for us. Looks like he wasn't trying to donate. We were, so hopefully let's try to improve to the run out. It just doesn't seem like we can ever win the first hand of the session, but no worries. This second hand where we reload back to 500, we pick up pocket kings once again in the cutoff. The player to my right, same player that stacked me with aces, opens up the action to 15. I 3-bet to $45. It folds all the way back to him, and once again, he makes the call. So we're going to a flop in position. The flop comes ace, 10, 7, 2 diamonds. He checks to us, and on an ace-high flop, my goodness, we really just didn't want that ace out there. We check it back, and we're going to a turn. Turn comes the queen of diamonds. He checks to us once again, and we don't have the king of diamonds, and there's 3 Broadway cards in there. Sometimes I can bet just to protect my pair of kings. But here, I'm just going to check it back and go to a river, get to showdown here. The river comes the 5 of hearts. He throws out a bet of $20, and I'm just going to have to make the call here for $20. See what we're up against. He has pocket 5s, so twice in a row, he's cracked my kings. He's the king killer today. Shortly after, we get called for the 2-5 game, so we pack up and move to the other table. We only played 1-3 for over an hour, and we lost $649. One of the first hands we looked down at 2-5, you guessed it. We have pocket kings in the big blind, and we're playing 5-handed here. So the button and the small blind limps to us, and here obviously going to be raising. I size up to $30. The button gets out of the way, and the small blind surprisingly makes the call. Didn't put him on too strong of a hand since he just limped in. But here we're going to a flop in position. The flop comes 8, 5, 6 rainbow. He checks to us, and this is a pretty good spot to just check it back here. This really isn't the best flop we're looking for with pocket kings, and considering he could have a wicked wide range, I decided to just check it back. Off to a turn. Turn comes a queen of diamonds, brings in the backdoor flush draw. Once again, he checks to us, and here we're obviously going to have to go for value. Hopefully the queen hit him in some way, or he's holding onto a 7 or some sort. So we bet $50, and unfortunately he folds, but we pick up kings, and finally we're 1 for 3 with kings. Following that hand, we're in the big blind, and it's a nice change of pace because we have 5-7 offsuit. Still playing 5-handed, the small blind opens up the action to $12. For $7 more in the big blind, playing blind versus blind, we're just going to call it and see what happens. So going to a flop, which comes 9-5-4 rainbow. Small blind leads out for $30 over betting the pot, which is really interesting. I've seen him jam a ton, so it's a really weird spot, but I don't believe him since he's been playing a little on the unorthodox side so far. So I call the $30, going to evaluate a turn, and the turn comes a 5. We improve to trips, and once again, he bets $55. He has about $150 plus behind, and here, like I said, I've seen him play really unorthodox, so I'm thinking let's just flat. Hopefully he can just barrel and fire off his entire stack. I kind of want to keep all his bluffs in his range. So I call the $55, and we're going to a river. The river comes the Queen of Hearts. He jams his whole stack in there, and obviously I snap call. We're up against Ace Queen, and we take this one down. Hand after that, we have Ace Jack offsuit in the big blind, now playing six-handed, and we've got 1,300 in our stack. The action folds all the way to the small blind, who opens up the action to $15. This is definitely a really good candidate to 3-bet, and I would do that most of the time, but here I decided to mix things up and just flat call in position with Ace Jack offsuit. Going to a flop, which comes Jack 3-4, 2 clubs out there. He fires a c-bet of $20, and here with top, once again, should be raising, but like I said, we're just going to play this a little bit trickier, not be super aggressive just yet, and evaluate a turn. So I make the call for $20, and the turn comes the 7 of spades, brings in the backdoor flush draw out there, and he once again bets $40. With 2 flush draws out there, sitting with top, I think 5-6 is fairly unlikely that he could be holding that. So here, I think this is definitely good enough for a raise. So we elect to just normal 3 exit to $120. He thinks about it for a little bit and ends up putting in chips. So he makes the call for 80 more, going to a river. The river's the 5 of spades, and he checks to us now. Considering the action, I'm putting him on some sort of Jack X holding, because I think anything else, like maybe not 2 pair, but I guess any straight or sometimes 2 pairs can be leading out on this river as well. So really not too concerned about a straight getting there. So I'm trying to target Jack X, weaker Jack X's. I throw a smaller sizing of $80. He thinks, tosses in a call, and we show our Ace Jack, and we're good. We take down another pot here. This next hand gets a little funky, so let's get into it. It's pretty fun. We have Queen Jack of clubs in the small blind with a button straddle. I open up the action to $30 with the $10 straddle out there, and only an early position player, and the button makes the call. So going 3 ways out of position. Flop comes Ace 9-6 Rainbow. Here, I'm first to act. I think I can be playing this a little face up and not have to bluff at this all the time. So I check, and action checks all the way around, which is a pretty interesting development. Going to a turn, which comes the King of Diamonds, brings in the backdoor flush draw. Here, I think I can check sometimes and just try to evaluate and see what the action is like that follows behind. So I check, the early position player also checks, and now the button throws out a bet of $60. I absolutely don't believe this action here. I think any sort of holding that is betting for value on this turn here should also be betting on the flop, so him checking back doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Also, since I did raise pre-flop in first act in the small blind here, then I probably can't have all of the super strong premiums in my range that is trying to play this a little bit trickier. Aces, kings make some sense, ace-king also makes some sense as well. So, not believing his $60 bet, I raised to $210. The early position player gets out of the way, and the button makes the call. Going to a river, I'm not really sure what I'm looking for in this river, but I think I'm just going to have to barrel big here and hope for a fold. The river comes the 3 of clubs. It's a total brick for us, and here, just trying to rep a hand for value. I can do this with aces, I can do this with kings, I can do this with ace-king as well. So I throw out a bet of $450. He folds pretty quickly. We didn't have to sweat him tanking. He said he had a combo draw on the turn and bricked it out. So lucky to take this one down, and our bluff gets through. Following that hand, we pick up 4-5 of hearts under the gun. I open up the action to $20. Fold all the way back to the button, who 3-bets us to $60. Interesting development once again, because the small blind and big blind both cold call the $60 bet. Actions onto me, and sure, we're going to make the call here, I guess. For only $40 more, we're going to see a flop. The flop comes King, Queen, 6, 2 hearts, and a diamond out there. Action checks to me, obviously just going to be checking it to the 3-better on the button, and surprisingly, he checks it back. So action checks around on this king, queen, high flop. So we're going to a turn which comes the deuce of diamonds. Brings in a backdoor flush draw, so 2 flush draws out there again. And now action checks to me once again. And here as the under the gun raiser, I certainly have a lot of king and queen X's in my range. Considering that, and also we have the flush draw and a gut shot to our straight. So here I can comfortably rep a king X holding here. So I throw out a sizing of $135. Only the button makes the call here. The blinds get out of the way, so we're up against a 3-better on the button. So we're going to river, seeing what develops. The river comes the 4 of diamonds, so the diamond draw gets there. We river a little bit of showdown, but obviously a pair of 4s is just never good here, I don't think. So I probably should be turning my hand into a bluff, obviously. If I'm going to bet the turn, I just have to barrel big again and represent a king. But here, I just want to play it face up. Since we did river some showdown value, I guess it kind of prevented me from firing another bullet. But I check. He quickly checks it back. And we are not good as we're up against ace queen. This next hand, it's been quite some time since we've seen pocket kings, so this is a good time for it. In the big blind, playing 5-handed, we pick up kings, and the cutoff opens up the action to $15. Button makes the call, and here, out of position, we're going to be 3-betting on the larger side. So let's go for it. We 3-bet to $70, and surprisingly, both players actually make the call. So going to a flop out of position. Flop comes 10-9-5 rainbow, and actions onto me first to act. I think, honestly, sometimes I really could just be checking back here. I don't really think a hand like Jack 10 or Queen 10 can realistically be even in a range, but also I don't really think they can actually call my hand either. But I feel like I definitely have to bet here and c-bet, considering there are a ton of draws out there. There's a Queen Jack, 8-7. I really can't give out a free card. So I just bet really small for $85. Not really expecting action because I think most hands that don't beat us will fold. And yeah, so they all fold. Unfortunately, we don't get much action, but we're 2-2 now. 2 wins and 2 losses with kings. Next, we pick up ace queen of spades in the small blind with a button straddle, so I'm first to act pre-flop. I open up the action to $30 with a pretty good hand. We get some action as 3 players make the call. So we're playing 6-handed, but going 4 ways to a flop, and we're greatly in the small blind. The flop comes queen 6 deuce rainbow. Really, really dry board, and we're out of position. Here, I am going to balance with basically a nutted hand at this point. I decide to just check on the super dry board. Action checks to the button who straddled, and he now throws out a bet of $80. Pretty big bet on this super dry board. I'm here to set the trap and see what happens, so I decide to just flat make the call. Other players fold, unfortunately, so we're going heads up to a turn. Turn comes the 3 of diamonds, brings in a backdoor flush draw, and here obviously just going to have to check here since I did check on the flop. He once again throws out another large sizing to $200. Here I have a really good decision to make, and I think I should be check raising here more often than not. Considering I did set the trap, I decided to just make the call, smooth call the 200 for now, evaluate a river, see if we can go for some more value, or see if he can hang himself trying to fire 3 bullets. So I make the call for 200, and we're going to a river. The river is a 6, and here this is a really good card for me, I think, to lead out on, considering I get all the calls in the world from Queen X, considering how I played this hand. So here, I don't know what I'm doing, man. Really bad. I don't like this. I check. He checks it back immediately. And we show our hand, obviously pretty unhappy with ourselves not being able to get value on the river here. Even worse news, he ended up telling us that he had king queen. So my goodness, if we just bet anything on the river, I think we could have made an extra $300, give or take, at least. So that's pretty bad on our end. We missed a ton of value on the river there, and yeah, just a mistake. Guys, I think it's that time again. We're in the cutoff, and we pick up kings, of course. Why wouldn't we pick up kings once again? So action folds to me. I open up the action $20. We get some action as the big blind makes the call. So going heads up to a flop. Flop comes 9-7 deuce rainbow on a pretty dry board, and he checks to us. Just gonna have to c-bet here, especially heads up. So gotta go for some sort of value. I c-bet a sizing of 200. Oh my god. I c-bet a sizing of just $25. Really interesting spot as he check raises us to $75. I've played with him a few times before. He's a really solid player, but honestly, my impressions of him are pretty tricky. Not entirely sure how to navigate playing with him, honestly, but here, obviously, with Pocket Kings, it's way too strong to fold or even 3-bet. I don't think we can 3-bet here ever and overplay one pair. So I just decide to make the call, going to a turn in position. Turn comes a jack. Really interesting, he checks now. Like I said, it's pretty tricky to play against him as he takes some pretty interesting lines. Here, I really don't know what to do. Can I get 9x to call? I feel like the obvious straight draw of 10-8 got there, which is a holding he definitely could have, but I don't expect them to slow down here when they actually make their straight. So I think about it and end up just throwing out a larger sizing of a bet to $175. I want to look like a bluff, and I want to look like I want to get a fold. I'm just not really sure what sizing 9x can call, so here I'm just going to bet big. And our plan kind of works, I guess, as he makes the call. Still assuming I'm ahead a lot of the time. Sometimes can be beat by Jack-9, but he probably, once again, should be check-raising here if he's going to take this line. So we're going to a river, which comes another 9. This board just keeps getting worse and worse for Pocket Kings here. Interesting enough, though, he checks once again. I don't know what the hell is going on. I put him on a 9x holding, and another 9 comes on the river. We hate this spot. What can we possibly get value from? I check back, even though low stakes poker is always about going for slim value. But I check back. He says he has a 7, so we show our Pocket Kings, and obviously we are good. The title of this video isn't Pocket Kings a bunch of times for no reason. So here, obviously, we pick up Pocket Kings in the small blind with a button straddle. Absolutely outrageous how many times we're picking up this hand. I open up the action to $30 as I'm first to act up pre-flop and fold all the way to the button who makes the call. So we're going to a flop which comes 9, 6, 7, 2 hearts. Absolutely gross flop for us, so I'm first to act. I just check. He throws out a bet of $30 now, and here, nothing to do but make the call. We're going to a turn. Turn comes the Queen of Clubs, not a card that we're necessarily too concerned about. So here, once again, I check. He now throws out another bet of $75. No need to overplay this one pair holding, so I just make the call once again with kings. And we're going to a river. The river comes a 4. It is essentially a brick, although the board is a lot more connected. It really doesn't change a whole lot. Once again, I check. I'm just praying to get the showdown at this point, but nope. He throws out another bet, sizing up now to $250. As played, I've under-repped my hand so much. I really can't do a whole lot, but make the call here. He shows 6-7 offsuit for 2 pairs, so there it is. Couldn't fold Pocket Kings, and we get ourselves into a little bit of trouble here. Following hand, we keep finding ourselves in some tricky spots. In the small blind, once again, with a button straddle, we pick up ace-10 of spades, and once again, first to act pre-flop in every other street, actually. I open up the action to $30, fold all the way back to the button, and once again, he makes the call. Going to a flop, which comes an ace-9-3, 2 diamonds, and a club out there. Here, flopping top pair, definitely going to be betting for value, so I size to $40. He doesn't think too long before making the call. Going to a turn, which comes the 10 of clubs, bringing in another backdoor flush draw, but we do improve to top 2, obviously. Here, I size up to $125. Really want to get more value from draws, combo draws, what have you, and he makes the call for $125. We've got a pretty large pot brewing, hopefully going to a river to see a brick. The river is the 6 of clubs, so the backdoor flush draw does get there. I'm not entirely too concerned about this, and with top 2 pair, I really want to get some value. I want to bet bigger to maybe polarize myself to look like a missed flush draw. So here we are going for it. We size up to $325. If we're going to make big river bets as a bluff, certainly have to do it for value as well. Unfortunately, he quickly makes the fold, saying he had a diamond draw.
55.
Here, last hand of the session. It wouldn't be right without ending this video with another Pocket Kings hand. And of course, damn right, we're in the small blind and there's a button straddle. First to act, once again, I open up the action to $30, and we get 2 players to make the call, a player in middle position and the button. Weird enough, we never get 3-bet when we actually pick up kings in these situations, unfortunately. But regardless, going to a flop 3 ways, and the flop comes 7, 6, 3, 2 spades, and a club out there. Once again, not the most ideal board, but not bad enough, and certainly a board we have to c-bet on, especially multi-way. So I throw out a sizing to $60, and interesting enough, we get action. Both players make the call. Going to a turn, gonna be a little bit more cautious as both players called. Turn comes the deuce of spades. Brings in, once again, another backdoor flush draw, and there's a ton of draws out there, and there's also a ton of holdings that beat us, like 2 pair and sets. So with only 1 pair and we're multi-way, here I want to size down a little bit to get value from a wider range of hands. So I only bet $95 here. I sometimes would just bet super large, but here this wasn't the case that I think I needed to. So now with this $95 bets, the middle position player next to act jams $600-ish total. We cover him, and when the button gets out of the way, we have quite a decision to make. Really confused by this, and I'm just really not comfortable with this spot right now. With 1 pair on a super connected board, although it is super draw heavy, this is just a really shit spot to be in. I've seen him go for value a ton, and after thinking things over, I just couldn't make the call with 1 pair in our over pair. Certainly we do block some draws with our king, but I decided to just fold here, and Jimmy, who made the large bet, was nice enough to show us his hand, ace-4 of spades with the combo draws, so nice bet to him, and I guess we made the incorrect fold, but I kind of like my fold, just pretty frustrating to unfortunately see that we made the wrong one at this moment. So we got out of there alive somehow. Early results, so 1-3, we played for an hour. We only played mainly those 2 hands with kings. We were in the game for, I don't even know how much. I was down, I lost $649 in the 1-3 game. And in the 2-5 game, we were in for basically 1,000 and out for 1,900. So basically a $900 win there. Kings, dude, this was a crazy session. I didn't fold kings once, which you're usually not supposed to fold kings, and the 1 fold that I made with kings was the wrong one. That jam was massive, and I just didn't really know what to do. Sometimes I guess you can just toss in the crying call and hope he's on the combo draw like he was. So that sucked. Sometimes they're just really dominated by sets, and mainly sets. Yeah, that's it. But that sucked. I mean, I had kings like 8 times or something crazy. I don't know how many times I can pick up kings in a 4-hour session. I only played for about 4.5 hours, and we got kings so many times, and we didn't really do that well with them, or definitely not as well as we should have. If I made that crying call against the jam, then I could have been up a bunch, but whatever. We were up 900 in 2-5, down 650 in 1-3, so there's that. I'm going to try and see if I can be profitable in 2-5. I think that's going to be my experiment. I don't know if I'm there yet. I honestly have no idea, especially 6-handed, but we're going to ride out the variance at 2-5 as much as we can, see how that goes. So thanks so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'm out of here. Peace out.